pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Before we go into public comments, since a few things are going to run a little differently, the public comment information is on the agenda and on the screen. Do we have that on the screen? No, down. Okay. Members of the public will be invited to comment on any items not on the agenda on the first public comment period. 5 minutes per person time limit, please. This was increased from 3 in line with our meeting resolution comments. Comments relating to specific agenda items should be deferred until public comments are open for the specific agenda item. And questions by the public during public comment periods are for informational receipt only. The board and staff are not required to answer questions unless deemed necessary by the chair for immediate clarification, and the board may direct staff to follow up on complex issues outside of the meeting. Also, the chair reserves the right to interrupt or terminate a speaker's comments if the comments become irrelevant, repetitive, abusive, or exceed the time limit. During the agenda process, when we're down into the agenda, for each agenda item with a recommended motion, the narrative will be presented. The chair will then request a motion and a second. If passed, the chair will open public comment, take public comment on that specific item, and then close public comment. If the chair will then give each board member the floor to comment. According to Robert's rules, there's a 10-minute limit as well for that type of comment period with the board members. And also it needs to be aligned with our comment decorum. The chair will then ask if any member has new input based on other members' comments, and then the chair will end discussion and call the question. So with that overview or narrative for that item, I will now open public comments for any items not on the agenda. Yes, and you need to approach the table, please, and state your name.
I feel like I'm approaching the bench, but hi. My name is Virginia Squire, and I live on Loveville Road. I was at the last meeting, and Mr. Thompson was talking about Center County history, etc., and it made me think that I would like to put together a welcome bag for new residents in the township. I asked Amy, and she told me that in the past 3 years, there have been 78 homes sold in the township. And I would like to take the project on. What I'm envisioning is a bag, because I probably can't afford a basket, that would have important phone numbers in it, information about businesses in the township. So I'd really like people who have businesses that Amy might not be aware of to contact me so I could put a blurb, a little brochure. I'd like to have fire and EMS numbers, information about townships, the clubs like the Garden Club and Scouts. And so I guess I want to tell you that I'd like to do this. And what I'm envisioning is, I don't know if it's legal for Amy to tell me these are new residents, so I thought I could leave a couple bags here in the township, and when people come in, she could hand them out. Or what I would love to see someday is that we have neighborhood, remember the welcome wagon? And we could have people in each neighborhood who would say, oh, I've noticed somebody's moving in, I'll take them a bag. So I guess what I'm hoping is that I have your blessing to do this. I can make up a prototype if you like and bring it in to show you. And I'd like people who have businesses in the township to let me know, one-line business of this is what it does and this is how you get in touch with them. Like the lady at the Bake Shack. I don't even know where that is, but that would be great. So,
Okay.
Do you have any questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We appreciate it. Okay. Anybody else for public comment for anything not on the agenda? Okay, thank you. We'll close public comment. for reports. Verbal monthly reports will be presented at the start of each meeting to prioritize information and accommodate non-board presenters who may need to leave early. So the idea is that we will be doing verbal reports, and these were at the end, or reporting was done at the end of the meeting, and sometimes at that point, people were ready to go home, tired, and missed things that were happening in other committees or that we needed to maybe discuss and give to our committee representative to take back to their committee. So we're hoping to give them a little more attention, I think, by putting it up front, and then that's done. And then if anybody was here just for the report, then they can leave. So the first we'll start with authorities, boards, and commissions. And also understanding that at this point in the year that some committees have not yet met, or if they did meet, it was just a reorg meeting, so there's probably not too much, but I will report on the Open Space Preservation Board. I am the appointed rep to that organization, or that committee. We had the reorganization meeting for the Open Space Board last evening. We welcomed a new appointed board member, Danan Stokovi, and all board members introduced themselves and shared their backgrounds. Patty Hartle was elected chair, Reed Moyer was elected vice chair, and the board also discussed possible topics to include in upcoming agendas and possible improvements to regular agenda items for future meetings. So that was it. It was a fairly brief meeting, but it was initial, and then we will be meeting in February. And my understanding is the Planning Commission has not yet met this year, and they meet on 1/20?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And COG regional committees. Does anyone have a committee meeting that was held in January that they would like to report on? Yes, Mr. Helms?
The Public Safety Committee meeting was held this past Tuesday. I attended representing Halfmoon Township. I sit on that group. It was mostly an organizational meeting, of course. Susan Trainer is again the chair, and Kevin Kassab is again the vice chair. Other members are Maury Patterson, myself, Nigel Wilson, Pamela Robb, Randy Brackbill. There were reports given as well. The most significant, I guess, was there is a Penn State initiative classes being held about COG, General Center Region Disaster Preparedness. A good example of why this is a good thing for us is look what happened April 29th last year when we got that freak thunderstorm, and there were places that power's out, 6 days, I guess, some. Anyway, this is headed by Dr. Fowler, and she's collaborating with John Risley, Pam Adams, and Sean Kaufman, two-part class projects. She debriefed what had happened in the fall semester, gave some insight as to what's going to be happening then in the spring. Tentatively, they're going to hold a half-day event April 10th or 17th. It'll be what they call a tabletop exercise to help align the regional needs and findings from the fall semester. Sean Kaufman also reported out things going on with the Alpha Fire Company. They had a number of new command officers, which this committee approves. Sean is retiring at the end of the year. And also, one other piece here, Jonathan. At any rate, another gentleman who was there, I'm sorry, Jonathan Risley, Emergency Management Coordinator, reported out on his current events. And that's about it.
Thank you, Mr. Helms. Does anyone else have anything?
Yeah,
Yes.
I attended the Lucy and Cass combined meeting today, as well as Don Ann.
Okay.
We each had our representatives for the committees. I'm not going into that kind of detail, but they did elect new officers. We had a discussion on merging the two committees at some point, and they're going to reconvene in March and have further discussion on how that may work together. There's a lot of discussion, pros and cons of putting the two groups together and whether it be more workload than they could handle. But there was the offer of staff from COG that could do a lot of the research and report back to the committee members so that they could use their time more efficiently. And again, we kind of discussed the emergency response for weather-related preparedness as well. That came up in the discussion, and I think that's something that, as Bruce stated, would be a real benefit for us being out here and just to gather some ideas of what the township could do to prepare for power outages for longer periods of time, have groups or individuals within the township that may be able to reach out to those who have medications or have definite needs if they don't have power backup supplies. And so that's the kind of things that they're migrating towards in the conversation.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? Ms.
Yeah,
Perkins?
the Finance Committee meeting was today with COG. So we're working through the fund balance policies. Today we worked on the library and Park and Rec. And Kim reported she's working through the new software that we have from our finance department. So that's all pretty good. And then the Upper Bald Eagle COG was the other night on Tuesday. We have new, the chair is remain Tim and vice chair is Bill from Tyrone, or Worth, sorry. One thing that will be coming to us possibly in February is discussion of the funding formula for the fire company.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Lauren covered.
Covered yours? Okay. Thank you. Let's see, we're down to department reports, and we're looking for things that happened since the last meeting and maybe on track for between now and the next meeting. And I know this is early, so Ms. Smith, is there anything for secretary?
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Mr. Laird? Nope. Mr. Beck? Nothing exciting. How's it going with the roads?
Good, I mean, everything's going well.
Okay. More details in the future then. Thank you. We will move on to item number 5, the consent agenda. In the consent agenda, we have the approval of the minutes and the January 26 bills list. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move that the Board of Supervisors approve items CA1, the approval of minutes, and CA2, the January 2026 bills list.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second.
Is there any discussion by the board?
And Madam Chair,
Yes.
if it's a consent agenda, can we just make the motion to approve the consent agenda without going into detail?
I think we did, didn't we?
I thought that was for the approval of minutes.
No, I
did-
said both.
Did you say
CA1
both?
is-
I didn't hear the
Yep,
other one. Okay.
CA2.
All right.
Okay. Yes. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to number 6, appointment of a registered elector as chairperson to the vacancy board. Ms. Smith, is there anything you'd like to add or explain with this one?
No, not at this time.
Okay. I will add that the Board of Supervisors would sincerely like to thank Barry Hamilton for his 20 years of service as the vacancy board chair, and that we have 2 applications that were submitted for the vacancy board chair position, consistent with the appointment procedure that we used at the January 5th reorganization meeting. The chair will entertain a motion to appoint a candidate. Upon receiving a second, the chair will call the question. This process will be repeated until one applicant attains a majority vote. So at this point, is there a motion for this item?
Madam Chair, I move to appoint Colin Zarzeski as the registered elector to serve as chairperson to the vacancy board.
Is there a second?
A second.
Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Okay. Motion passes. Colin Zarzecki is our new vacancy board chairperson. We will now move on to number 7, Same process for the appointment of zoning hearing board members. Amy, do you have anything to add?
I do not.
Okay. There was some, I will say, there was some confusion at the last, but we clarified that the terms of two positions were indeed up, so we will now appoint them. And do I have a
Madam Chair.
motion? Yes,
I
Mr.
move to
Cervello.
appoint Tom Majeski and Steve Schelberg to the
I
zoning
think
hearing
we're going to
board.
do them one at a time, Ron, since there's
Oh,
two positions. Okay?
Tom Majeski to the zoning hearing board. He is an incumbent, so I think that's worth mentioning.
Okay. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of appointing Tom Majeski to the hearing board, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
No. Okay, motion fails. Do I have another motion?
Madam Chair, I move that the Board of Supervisors appoint Mr. Mark Stevenson to the Zoning Hearing Board
Okay.
for a 3-year term.
I
I'll
believe-
second.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No?
Okay, motion passes. And we have one more position to fill.
Madam Chair, I move that the Board of Supervisors appoint Ms. Barbara Spencer to the Zoning Hearing Board for a 3-year term.
I'll second.
Second, okay, thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion passes. Now we will move on to item number 8, the Open Space Preservation Board recommendation for the Drybulbus Spencer property. And there is Amy has up we have the narrative up. There's also quite a bit of information that was provided on this one in the agenda. So we will, first I'll ask Amy, do you have anything else to
I do not.
add? Okay, thank you. Then I will entertain a motion to get this item on the table for discussion. Do I have a motion for the Spencer Drybulbus property?
Madam Chair, I move to allocate, move to allocate open space preservation program funds to assist Clearwater Conservancy in the permanent preservation of the Daniel Drybulbus and Barbara Spencer property. The funding commitment shall not exceed 50% of the negotiated price of the appraised value, which is less, and shall be capped at $2,000 per tillable and $1,000 per woodland acre in accordance with the Open Space Preservation Program ordinance. This offer shall expire in 2 years of the date by approval of the Board of Supervisors.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. I will therefore open public comment for this item. And then when there's no further public comment will be closed. So if there are any questions during public comment, and any board member chooses to answer them when they have the floor, that's when those will be answered. So it's just for comment and any clarification questions. Yes.
Hi, my name is Michelle Shelberg, and I'm a Halfmoon Township resident. This one was brought up before, and before the new year, and I just wonder why it's being considered, because I thought it had been determined that it's actually going to be a loss of over $1,000 per year. So I'm interested to hearing more discussion about this before you approve it. Why is it a good thing for our township to approve this?
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments on this particular agenda item? Okay, we'll close public comments, and we will start with, the motion was made by Ms. Perkins. Correct, so Ms. Perkins?
Yes. Sorry, yes.
Okay. We'll start with any comments you have on this item and then go around.
Sure. Yeah, I think we obtained some additional information that's very positive. This is a property that scored well with our open space program, so therefore, my motion.
Okay, is that it? Okay, thank you. Mr. Savello?
Well, as you know, I submitted an analysis, future value analysis to the board. The details are there. I think it clearly demonstrates that the lease program is the better financially for the township. I think there are also other advantages of that that I've noted in there. But I think with regard to these permanent easement buyouts, when you do future worth analysis, which is the only apples to apples comparison that you can do, that it clearly demonstrates that the leases are less expensive for the township, and with regard to advance payments, those advance payments have to be reimbursed to the township. However, they are reimbursed at the same amount that they were given to the property owners at the time. So 20 years transpires, and if a property owner got $50,000 in advance payment, 20 years goes by, he returns, or she or they return $50,000. And in terms of time value of money, that's a loss for the township. So that's why I object to this approach. Plus, on another issue, I would like to see, as I've said before, an independent financial analysis, a forecasting model that clearly shows with each change to the program how that impacts the cost over time. And that has never been done. So I still call for that to be done. And until that's done, I don't think we should be making significant changes to the program. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Mr. Nauman?
A couple comments I'd like to add is that this vote tonight is an initial approval to allow staff to send a letter of intent to provide matching funds on an agreement or agreed upon value for the development rights with the partners or partnering agents, which lets the Center County Pace or Spring Creek watershed to proceed with an evaluation process. This does not tie up the funds for the purpose right now. It just allows the process to get started because those agencies do the legwork with the evaluations of the property, the appraisals for the development rights, and they put together a purchase package, brings it back to the Open Space Board for review. And at that time, if the numbers work within the confines of our program, we can move forward. If it doesn't, we're not committed to providing those funds at this time. It's just, we need to do that in order to get the ball rolling, and they do the legwork for us at no expense to us. Another issue is we're getting matching funds dollar for dollar for these purchases. We're not paying for it totally out of pocket. So we're getting 2-to-1 or 1-to-1 payback with the combined funds. So instead of, if we were doing a single or a township buyout, we'd be paying out the maximum of $4,000 or the appraised value. Whatever these packages come back at, we split that cost with those other agencies. And so we're getting a dollar for dollar return to our investment from either Spring Creek or the PACE program. And then there's the possibility over time that there's 3 different ways or 3 different articles in our lease program where the leases could be broken. If the lease is converted to a full-time permanent conservation easement, as Mr. Thompson noted in the last meeting, it's really difficult to pull any property back out of those type of conservation easements. With our lease agreement, there are 3 different clauses where an easement in the lease could possibly be broken. And 25 years from now, the supervisors, whoever they may be, might find some advantage politically or development-wise where they could offer the landowner to buy out that lease for some other purpose. Once it's in a permanent easement, that's no longer possible. Those easements aren't in the control of the township. We're named on them, but those leases are now with either Spring Creek or Center Pace, and they're a much more difficult proposition to break. And the other point is, as time goes on, property values are going to increase, which means that development rights, property, prices are going to increase. And so the longer we put off trying to get these properties permanently preserved, the higher the price it's going to be if it can be done at all. And so I'd just like to clarify those things and add that to the conversation.
Okay. Mr. Nauman, just a couple times you said Spring Creek, but it's really, in this
It's
particular...
Clearwater Conservancy, I'm
Clearwater
sorry.
Conservancy, okay. Just wanted to clarify that that's,
Thank you.
okay, yes. Mr. Helms?
I'll go on record as saying, overall, I approve of the open space program as it was originally conceived. And that did not include the buyout of easements. I do have some heartburn over that. Brett is going to make a presentation to the Open Space Board on the 18th of February, in which he's going to show the current working spreadsheet we have that shows that this program runs into the red in 2063 with the current easements that we have and the way that we're paying our leases. There are a number of factors that go into that spreadsheet, CPI being most notable. We need to understand the factors that drive the viability of this program from the financial standpoint. That presentation is yet to be made. I recommend that we hold off on these votes until that happens. Furthermore, I too agree that we have not had a true independent audit, assessment of the program. We do audits. We do audits every 5 years, the next one coming up in 27. But those basically look at how much did we spend, is it being spent properly? If everything comes up copacetic there, then we consider it done and a good deal. But I don't believe that we're looking at the forward projection in those audits. So I think that we ought to make sure we conduct a thorough, independent review of the viability of the program before we proceed.
Okay.
Madam Chair, can I respond to, or just add something based on what I heard? I just want to point out the analysis that I did and submitted to the board includes only the money that is presented or committed by the township when comparing the buyout and the lease. I'm not including any other money in it, okay? So just the amount, our share. So that comparison for our share for the buyout compares to the current lease amount. And I'm not there is no, I'm not, you can't really add the other amounts to that because that would skew the results. So I wanted to solely address expenditures by the township. I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. Okay. I will just add that that the property, Spencer Driver Bus, as in the notes, is a little over 63 acres. This current proposal is to partner with Clearwater Conservancy and for putting up $95,120. We would erase our current obligation of $573,369 to complete the lease payments out 99 years because this property did not take an advance payment. And at the end of that time, it would then revert back to not being a conserved property. So by permanently preserving it and using the funds now at today's dollar value, then we are permanently preserving that property. That's only going to increase, and we have something basically to show for the end of it. And when this was put in place, leasing options were a viable, that's why the state put it in, and at the time the township could only afford to lease the properties, and the idea was to get them leased so at least they were conserved, and then at some point they would be permanently preserved. So with that being said, I'll add one more thing. With when we partner with Clearwater, they do, and this is the way it's worked when we've partnered with the county and with Clearwater, they handle any back and forth with the landowner. They handle paying for the appraisal, they pay for the survey, and so they're basically paying us I mean, we're paying half of the value of the assessed for that property, and then they're handling the legwork and the fees, and then they also then are responsible for monitoring it. We then can take it off our books. We have no staff time, no anything any further than with that property, and no regular evaluations. And as far as our program, the financials of our program are audited every year with our independent auditor when he audits the township, and he reviews the leases and the payments. And the ordinances that we have are reviewed by the attorney. Over the last 20 years, we've had at least 4 attorneys reviewing the program. Everything has to go through legal review, approval by the board, and then the public hearing. So, and it's also monitored by a state program. So really, we're coming down to the spreadsheet that we use as a forecasting model, and that's what, and it's been reviewed by 3 financial professionals. It has not been audited, which we can include, we can discuss including that, and without, this will all be discussed in our strategic planning as including it as part of our regular audit with our auditors. So those are my comments, and I will now call the question.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I would like to respond, if I may, to your comments.
yes.
An audit is not a financial review of the program, and I would like to know who the 3 professionals were, independent professionals were, that reviewed them.
I didn't say independent, but I said financial. The first one was the creator of the spreadsheet to help us use a tool for forecasting was Joe Tilco.
Mhm.
And the second was Joe Vigilone, the director of COG, who now then went for to the school district, and Brett Laird.
None of which are independent. All have a role or have a connection to the township government in one form or another.
I would say not Mr. Vigilone.
Well, he was Director of Finance at the COG, which we are a member of.
But-
So,
well-
I just wanted to point that out.
So noted, thank you. Okay, I will now call the question. All those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
No?
Okay. Motion passes. Thank you. Now we are at the Open Space Preservation Board recommendation for the Digman property, which is a smaller piece of property, but you can see what we have for up there for that. This would be partnering with the county PACE program, who we've partnered with in the past. And I will accept a motion to get this item on the table for discussion.
I'll move to allocate the Open Space Preservation Program funds to says Center County PACE Program and the permanent preservation of Daniel and Claire Digman property. The funding commitment shall not exceed 50% of the appraised value and shall be capped at $2,000 per tillable acre, $1,000 per woodland acre in accordance with the Open Space Preservation Program ordinance.
Okay, and is there a second?
Second.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
if I may, were you going to allow public comment?
that's what I'm going to do right now for this
I
one.
thought you did that before you did the board.
No, we got the motion on the table, and then I opened public comment.
Oh, okay.
So I will open public comment for this particular agenda item. Okay, seeing none, I will close public comment for this agenda item. And Mr. Nauman, you made the motion. Do you have any additional or different comments for this
An
property?
additional comment would be the same as previous, that this initiates the approval to make contact with Center PACE program directors to get the finances started, or get the program started in the review. And, I just want to add that if after a February meeting with the Open Space Board, if there's obvious shortfalls or issues with the financing, again, this is just a commitment to provide the funding. It's not a done in concrete deal. But it just allows to get that ball rolling, because in these days, 2 years' time, there might not be any funding. It may die in the process. But the sooner we can get that ball rolling, the sooner we'll find out what the property's development rights are worth and what kind of negotiation or deals will be made to work with. And we can use our funding appropriately.
Thank you. Mr. Helms?
Same comments as I had previously.
Thank you. Ms. Perkins?
Again, I'm supportive of this. I think the, importance is that the PACE program has recognized the value of this property. Even though it's a smaller parcel, it still has a lot of value because of its proximity to other properties that are permanently preserved. Both permanently preserved. So I think that's important to note, that it's been recognized by other programs in terms of that. And again, with our current projections, like our previous property, we're going to save a significant amount of money compared to the lease payments versus what we're paying out for permanent preservation.
Okay, and I think Mr. Cervello.
Same comments I had about the other one. It's the principle is the same, simple future value analysis comparison, and I also do not think that, a 99-year lease, yes, there's a hardship clause, but that hardship clause would apply to any application of the open space program by ordinance. So you can still have a hardship clause even with a permanent buyout. So.
Okay. And
That's it.
okay, thank you. I don't have too much else to add, but as Ms. Perkins said, because this is a 25.25 acre property, typically the PACE program has a limit of 50 acres, a minimum of 50 acres, but because of its location between the Hall property, which is permanently preserved, and the Gray property, which is currently under preservation lease and has been accepted by their program for consideration. And it is right along, has quite a bit of frontage right along 550, and it's mostly open space. So that's about all I have to add to that. So if there's nothing else, I will call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Okay. Motion passes. Number 10, health self-storage extension request. Amy, is there anything we need to be aware of from the planning commission besides what you have stated?
No.
Okay. So again, to get the discussion started, we can get a motion on the
I'll
table.
move to accept the 30-day extension, given the time frame with meetings.
Okay.
Second.
Second, I'll open discussion for the public. Is there any public discussion on this item? Okay, I'll close that. And any discussion by the board?
I have none.
Madam Chair, this is
Yes.
just an extension of the time for something we already approved, correct?
That's my understanding.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Item 11, Autumn Meadow Park Security Camera System Installation. And Mr. Beck, do you have any additional comments or relevant experience with this vendor that you would like us to know about?
This vendor was used for other systems we have already in place. And honestly, one of the only ones that I'm aware of that does this type of system. So I met with Mr. Woodring to discuss some issues that were happening at Autumn Park. So we were looking at kind of the layout of the park, and we discussed, things that would be important to catch, different parking lot features and things, entrance, whatever. So he recommended some camera placements and camera styles and things like that. This is certainly out of my wheelhouse. So that's about as much as I know about this. It would work with our existing system, which would all be recorded on a device the township owns. This isn't like a cloud-based recording system. So this is actually, will be stored on a hard drive in the maintenance building, actually.
Okay, thank you. If there's any questions, we'll get a motion on the table first, and then we can go from there.
I move to approve the purchase and installation of the 4 cameras and wireless bridge to be completed by Woodring's Video and Audio at the price not to exceed $5,635.
Okay, do I have a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
Okay, and we'll start with discussion. Mr. Nauman, do you have any questions or comments on this one?
No, I don't.
Okay, Mr. Helms?
Just questions. How do we, are these vandalism proof? How are they protected from somebody hitting them with bricks or a shotgun or whatever?
I mean, I guess the simple answer is they're only as strong as what they physically are. Just trying to provide or pick mounting locations that would be deterrent from that. I will admit that's difficult because of the size of the building and the height of the building. A couple of the cameras would have to be a little bit lower that they potentially could be vandalized. I mean, obviously, we would hope that wouldn't happen.
Since these are wireless, is there any protection against jamming or something that would prevent them from speaking to the server when needed?
I'm not sure.
Isn't the, oh, sorry. All right, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Are you finished?
Well, I was just gonna say, maybe that's something you could follow up with them on, just for our general knowledge, and it
Is-
might impact how they get installed or how they get used or whatever.
Yeah, I know the only thing, or the main reason we discussed the wireless option, because the cameras themselves are physically hardwired, but they would, my understanding is it would transfer back to this wireless bridge that would send the signal to the maintenance building because that recorder is already installed there, which would eliminate having kind of more cost of a system that's already expensive to add the recording software. So that's, I guess that's the only reason that we discussed this way, but I'll certainly ask a question.
Follow up. Please.
Okay, Mr. Spella?
I just, the question was with regard to the cameras are wired into a unit inside the building, right?
Correct.
And so the unit, it's not a server, it's a, like a router that wirelessly connects to a server over in the maintenance building, is that correct?
That's my understanding. I'm sure my understanding is much simpler than what it really is.
Okay,
Yes.
what I would really have liked to have known about this system and previous systems we've had installed, is whether or not they're proprietary. Because if something happens with a company and you have a proprietary system, no other equipment can communicate with it or is compatible with it. So I would have liked to have known that, and I think Scott would have been able to potentially answer that. And it wasn't a quote, it was an estimate. Now, we've set a limit on the cost, not to exceed this amount of money. So is this estimate actually a quote?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I think he should say quote.
Yes. Mr. Perkins?
I just want to say that it's, unfortunately, it's unfortunate that we have to put up cameras in our community. I just want to state that I'm sad about that. But I do think it's important because there has been a couple situations that have happened in broad daylight, have happened when other folks are there. So unfortunately, that's the world we live in, but it still makes me sad. My only other comment would be to, and I'll just double check this with Mr. Beck, but the placement of these is going to capture the information that we would need in the event that we would need to get police involved, whether it's faces, whether it's license plates, cars going in, cars going out, catching license plates in that matter. I would hope that's what you looked at in terms of the placements. I can,
And also the quality.
Yeah, so.
right, in the quality that we don't have a pixelated Sasquatch picture.
So in our discussion, a couple of the, well, 4 of the really main points was the entrance and exit of the parking lot to catch specifically license plates with a higher quality, more of a zoomed lens, like a more of a fixed lens to kind of zoom in on that area, as well as one that covers like a broader picture of the parking lot. So we kind of get, like I said, the zoomed in on just the entrance, but then more of, unfortunately, a situation happened in the parking lot. So in hopes that it would catch an angle for that. Another one would catch anything from, I believe it's the west side, like the Sky Harbor side, if someone is entering from that side, as well as one that would provide like more of an overview of the kind of the field and things like that to catch any type of vandalism, hopefully that would occur.
Right.
I mean, obviously, we're guessing where things could occur and trying to do our best of covering
Right.
more of those important
Right.
areas.
But I'm assuming the larger view would also capture which direction vehicles are coming from, which direction vehicles or people on foot are coming from and leaving.
That was the goal. That was kind of my thought was sometimes it helps seeing the overall. Another concern was, and I hope this never happens, would be if someone would go onto the football field, vandalize that, and cause, different kinds of destruction other than just in the parking lot area or the walking path. But.
Right. And then just as a follow-up to Mr. Helms's comment is, I hear your concerns in terms of someone tapping into it or scrambling the system or whatever. And again, I'm sad about that situation, but unfortunately, that's the world we live in. Anybody who wants to do it is going to do it. So I think even if we have the best system, that we probably can afford to eliminate all forms of interference or scrambling or whatever. But I think there's a possibility that it could occur, but it's probably pretty low, I would think.
I would hope so as well.
Right.
Is this an upgraded version of like or a newer version of what we already have? Or is it a different, because Wood Rings is the one that put the one in here, correct? Is it a different?
It's basically the same overall type of system. The cameras are more tailored to what we need in certain areas, so the picture quality is a little different.
Okay. And we've been satisfied with what's been done for here and what we've.
I think it's covered areas that we've needed to.
But I mean, the quality and we've been able to retrieve what we need to retrieve and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had one other comment, if I may.
Yes.
Are there any special lighting requirements with these?
I mean, they are infrared, so they do have a night vision option on them.
Because often a lot of things happen there at night and it gets pretty dark in the park.
Yeah, I know, obviously because I'm at the maintenance building and use them at all hours of the day and night, they do provide actually a very clear picture
Okay.
in the dark,
All right.
surprisingly.
That's great. Yep.
Thank you. Does anybody have anything else? Okay. Then we will, all those in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Number 12, Resolution 2026-11, Employee Handbook Revisions. The overview for this and the reasoning for this is in the narrative in the agenda, and I believe it's also up on the screen. It is, so I will entertain a motion for this to start discussion.
I move to approve Resolution 2026-11, amending and adopting the Personnel Policies and Regulations Manual and allowing all amendments to commence effective immediately.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. I will open public discussion if there's any public comments regarding this particular item. Okay. Seeing or hearing none, then we will move to board discussion. Ms. Perkins, I believe you made this motion. What would you-
I just
Any
want to
comments?
say that I personally value the staff that we have and appreciate each and every one of you. And I feel that this is one way that we can positively reiterate our appreciation for the work and the efforts and the skill set that you have within our township. I think we're very fortunate to have every one of you.
Okay, Mr. Cervello?
Well, I think we adequately compensate our employees. And if there's some way that we're not doing that, I'm not so sure this is the way to compensate that. When it comes to paid time off, there's a reason why paid time off is a benefit and not a monetary compensation. It's because employers typically can they prefer their employees, or they encourage their employees to take time off. Vacation is important. Being away from the job over time, if you're on the job all the time and you never get a break, that can cause problems. So I look at that as a benefit. Of course, first and foremost, I do value every one of our employees. And I think they know that I do. And I've demonstrated that before. When it comes to longevity bonuses, that's, to me, is kind of a negative incentive. It's more like a seniority bonus. And I think it's better to compensate performance, a merit system, and we do have a merit system. I think we've got more problems than types of compensation. I think we have problems with properly setting objectives for the employees. We, as the board, acts as the manager in the absence of a manager. And I think we've not done such a good job of that in the past. And I think we need to do a better job of that, to know what the expectations are and to measure performance against expectations. And when the employees perform as they do, if they perform in a high, an outstanding manner, they should receive merit. And that various levels of merit depend on the level of performance. So, but that's all part of the process that we have, and we need to implement. We need to do that to properly acknowledge performance, acknowledge the employees and what they're doing. And I think we need to pay more attention to that part. So I certainly want to compensate the employees for the work they do. And adequate, not only just adequately, but competitively. So, that's important for us to retain our employees as well. But I just don't think this is quite the way to do it. I guess that's the best way I can say it.
Thank you. Mr. Nauman?
Can I ask Chuck a question? And I don't mean to put you on the spot, but how do you feel about this being part of a employee benefit compensation? I mean, do you feel this is?
I certainly appreciate it.
I've worked for 2 municipalities in the past as a mechanic, taking care of untold numerous pieces of equipment, and we get a 3-year pin, a pen, just slight from being kicked out the door for incompetent work sometimes, but, I don't have a problem with this, and if down the road there's another way to restructure an employee benefit, then I think we could readdress it then, but I think for right now, I think it's in good jest for the township. I've looked at other townships' pay scales, and we're close. I think this would be a nice addition to the employees currently to help bridge some gaps that I've seen. And so with that, I would be in favor of this.
Mr. Helms?
Madam Chair, can we split this to 2 votes, the PTO part separate from the longevity bonus part?
What is our, I think I would need a vote on that. Brett, do you know what the process is? And I know
You
it-
would
it-
entertain a vote to split the motion, and then staff would have to just post the agenda here and change it online for 48 hours, and note that it was updated. But it is doable.
We take it up at the next meeting.
No, you can still do this. You're just splitting the 2 votes that's already been advertised. It just needs changed.
Yeah, you'd be voting to amend the agenda to split the
Okay,
votes.
to split the votes
Yeah.
tonight.
Personally, I have no issue with the PTO buyout. My concern is similar to Ron's with the longevity bonus. I believe that some portion of raises need to be tied into meeting objectives. I lived in a private sector all my life, worked there. Often, we had management by objectives. At the beginning of a year, we would sit down with our superiors. In this case, it would be the board, go over the plans for the years. The input comes from the employees as much as anything, where they can say, hey, these are projects that I'd like to work on. Fine, let's put them down. Let's rank them in terms of what the importance is. And then maybe review them several times during the year, but at the end of the performance period, how did you stack up against what you said you were gonna do? And then that's what helps set the merit raise. Management by objectives, it's a very common practice. I'd much rather see us do something like that versus a longevity bonus.
I agree with parts of what Mr. Helms and Mr. Sorella said regarding the merits and that, but I also see it as kind of 2 separate things, because I work places where there's cost of living, where there's a merit increase, and then there's also bonuses that are given for various reasons and for longevity. So I understand that point. I will entertain, I don't have a problem with splitting the vote for clarification level, and because if you agree with one and not the other, then we can discuss them independently and vote on that. So I will entertain a motion to split the vote, and then we'll entertain a motion for each of the individual ones, if that passes.
I move that we split the vote.
Split the motion. Break the
The
motion,
motion,
break the
yes.
motion into 2 separate motions.
Correct.
Point of order, just to clarify, can we do that with a motion on the table, or do I have to rescind the original motion?
You need to withdraw.
You would have to
Withdraw.
withdraw.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you
so
okay with that, Ms. Perkins?
I'm okay withdrawing my original motion.
All right, then I move that we split this into 2 separate motions.
Okay.
Second.
Second. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, then I will entertain a motion for the PTO buyout, or buyback.
I will move to, let me just make sure that I get my correction here. I will move to adopt,
To approve.
it's, move to approve the PTO buyback program designed to give employees more choice in how they use the benefits earned. This, pay in lieu of time off would be up to a maximum of 40 hours annually. Is that enough information for you, Amy?
And that'll be
Okay.
its own resolution then. Okay.
Right, it would be resolution number,
Well, I guess it's the same resolution.
It would still be.
would be the same resolution?
Assuming they both pass, it'll
Okay,
still be
okay,
11.
okay.
It'll
So it's part
depend on
of
how it goes.
resolution 2026-11.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Okay, so that was for the PTO buyback, and now I'll entertain a motion to, so we'll have discussion on the longevity bonus.
I move that we state annually at the supervisor's discretion a longevity bonus as stated in the resolution.
Madam Chairman, do citizens get to comment on this? I've got a little
We
lost.
did lose citizens' comments on the.
No, I did open them at the beginning when it was a joint.
Okay, okay.
We just
So
didn't do
now
it on
that
the
it's
second
broken
motion.
apart,
Well,
there
they're still
are-
the same motions that
Okay.
were in the original, so, okay. All right, so do that.
So we have a motion, was there a second? I'm just trying to keep track of that.
There was not a second.
Okay, I'll second. Okay, so, discussion, so we are now on the longevity bonus just itself. Do you have anything new than what you stated the first time around, Ms. Perkins?
Yeah, I do. So I believe that this is a longevity bonus based on number of years employees are employed within our township. I do believe that there's value in longevity of employees. There's a lot of institutional knowledge retained. There's just a lot of value in having longevity of employees. A couple board members have stated that they believe that bonuses or merit pay should be performance-based. I have a little bit of a difficulty with that because if there is poor performance, it should be addressed and noted during employee annual evaluations. And chances are if the poor performance continues, we don't have that employee anymore and there's no longevity. In addition, performance-based pay is based on targets. So you have to reach this target to get this. So it's kind of a dog in the bone type of reward, which I think is a little demeaning for some people, especially when we have great employees who are very proficient at their job. And now we're asking them to hit target X, Y, and Z in order to get that treat. There was also a comment about instead of, and I'm not saying that you suggested this, but it was noted that in some cases, individuals receive merit pay or bonuses, which might be a pin or, God forbid, an acrylic plaque or a pen or something like that. And quite frankly, as a recipient of those, I find those very demeaning. I don't need a pin to say that I've worked here for 30 years. I really don't. So I just again come back to the value of longevity employees. I think we need to focus on the value that they give us, the good performance that they have because they have been there so long, and pay based on that.
Okay, anything additional from you, Mr. Chavello?
Yeah, well, we give employees both cost of living and merit. And in terms of longevity, the longer the employee's there, the more they're going to make. I don't know the last time we had a zero pay increase or a pay reduction. We are providing longevity increases through a normal merit and cost of living increase process. So I don't see how adding another, and a bonus, by the way, is not an annual pay increase. It's a one-time allotment or one-time award of money for something. And I think we need to adequately address pay, compensation, based on merit as well as cost of living through the process we already have. So that's why adding another facet to this doesn't make sense to me. That's all I'll say.
Thank you. Mr. Nowman, anything additional?
I'm not familiar with what the employee ordinance is in terms of pay raises, incentives. So again, I understand Ron's point, but at the same time, this is based on number of years, and I would like to think that a dedicated employee would spend 6 years on the job and be appreciated, and that this is just an appreciation for the good work completed and their dedication to their job and their employer. And so I still think I wouldn't have a problem with this.
Mr. Helms? and I understand, I appreciate both sides of what was said. I think the amounts here are reasonable, and another thing that wasn't, besides institutional knowledge and affinity for, for your work environment and things, there's also the cost of, turnover costs. It's costly to bring in somebody new, and for the amount of responsibility, because we have 2 employees just in the office, they're responsible for so many different aspects. It's not just a silo position. You have to have the ability to do many things, multitask across many different things and back each other up. It would be a long learning curve for someone to just step into one of these roles, and so I see that as would be additional costs and impact potentially to the running of the township. So as far as, and that's just an opinion, another opinion on the longevity bonus, so.
Madam Chair, I got a comment about that.
Yes.
I want to be clear. I believe compensating employees adequately for what they do, all of their responsibilities, is essential. Okay, making sure that pay is competitive is essential. We should be doing that through our normal pay, merit, and cost of living adjustments, the whole process. But we do have to have performance of work done. We need to be able to measure it, and we need to be able to determine if the amount of compensation we're providing is or the amount of work getting done is commensurate with the amount of compensation. And that's a process that we have to undertake every year. Okay, and we need to have a process to do that. But we're adding something else that, in my mind, is, well, if you're here long enough, this is what you get every year because you're here so many years. I find that personally demeaning. If I were an employee, I'd want to be rewarded based on my performance. I want to be able to get as much as I can by the work that I do. And as far as enrichment and knowledge and experience, you get that through work. You don't get it through being there. You get it through the work that you do. And I'm sure that our employees are doing that every day. I just want to make sure that we've got a process that is measurable, that's defendable, and that the employees, know that their work is appreciated. And I don't think a longevity bonus does that. I think a merit increase does that more than anything. And as far as letters of appreciation or other means of appreciation, I don't find those demeaning if it goes along with adequately compensating the employees. And that goes not only in terms of wage or salary, but also the benefits and also retirement. I'm sure the employees here want to know that by going to work every day and doing their job, that they're not only getting paid well, but their future is secure. So, there are many aspects to a compensation package that I think that should be our focus. So that's all I'll say about it.
And I do not disagree with the merit increase. I just don't consider, and that we need to work on the evaluation of the job and the merit and the evaluations and goals and things. I don't disagree with that. I just don't see the two things as mutually exclusive. I think we can work on that and still provide the bonus. So that's where I am. So all those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Okay. Motion passes. And we are at the number 13, strategic plan proposal request. Let's see. We have had, in the recent future, recent past, we have had 2 strategic plans done. One was in, I believe, 2016? And then in 2021. And we use the strategic planning process to set 1, 3, and sometimes 4-year for your goals. Those are then what we use, those strategic plans, once they're compiled, and the staff uses those to look at where they need to start doing research and start pulling from those to feed items onto the agenda. And we use them to help feed things down to the other committees, like the directions that we want to go and what we'd like them to work on. So right now, since our current strategic plan is expiring in 2026, we are looking to renew that so that we have a new, current and fresh list of things for staff to look at, and also so that we can be planning budget-wise and just everything that you can do to be more proactive and with the budget process and with allocating work. So we, in the last two strategic plans that we did, the sessions themselves and the gathering the information for those, and all the legwork was done by Mr. David Probolka, and he did the work for us so that we have the write-up there regarding that. And this motion would be to direct staff to get a request for a proposal from him for leading our session for our next strategic plan. And that's where we are. So do we have a recommended, or do we have a motion?
I'll move to direct staff to seek a proposal from Mr. David Probolka to facilitate a strategic planning process to be completed in 2026 and to initiate establishing dates and times for these meetings to take place.
Okay, let's just stick with what's in the.
I'm sorry.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Let's see, so I will open public comment for the strategic plan proposal request. Okay, seeing and hearing none, we will start with Mr. Nauman.
I'm fully behind getting a new strategic plan for the township. There's been no information on our website with regards to 3 or 5 year road maintenance plans, building maintenance plans. A number of years ago, when previous supervisors were asked, what's your plan for the township? It was wait and see. We waited 4 years. We have a surplus budget that has no allocations for where that money is to be spent right now. And I think it's important that we move towards getting a plan together to provide the public with the knowledge and a direction for this funds that are going to be used and how they'll be allocated over the next 3 to 5 years.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Helms.
I favor a strategic plan, not necessarily to spend money we have, but to make sure we take an honest assessment of where we need to spend money, and then look at the alternatives and execute our fiduciary responsibility, spending that money as appropriate and not necessarily just because it's there. I do have a couple of questions here. I appreciate what Mr. Probolka's done here in the past. Is there any sense in maybe asking yet another person to bid on this to see if there's a different perspective? And I did look over the last strategic plan. It's pretty doggone simple, really. I'm sure it came after some strong deliberation and input. I can see there's some items on there that I know didn't get done. I'm going to bet there's some others that did not get done, and maybe some that I would be surprised actually did get done, and we just don't see it. We could pretty much create that plan ourselves by dusting off what we already have, taking a look at what we currently need, and go from there. So, just a thought. We don't necessarily have to spend money to create a strategic plan.
Okay, are we, Ms. Perkins?
Yes. I'm definitely in favor of strategic planning. I think there's a lot of benefits for strategic planning. We are certainly overdue for planning as a whole in this township in all categories across our township. In doing so, being overdue, it's created additional expenses. We've had missed opportunities for grants and et cetera. We don't have a great plan of work for employees, and that is for all of our employees because we just have no plan. And strategic planning also allows us to plan our budget accordingly. So we have just not had a great budget process because we just don't have an overall plan. So, and to Mr. Helms's point, I do think there's value in actually hiring an outside source to oversee this. There's a moderating going on, there's direction, there's questions being asked. I think there's value in having someone assist us with that, especially when we're so overdue for planning.
Thank you. Mr. Savella?
Well, I understand planning. I don't consider 5 years to be strategic, but you have to have some kind of a plan. In terms of our work plans for employees, we should have been doing that. But as far as growth is concerned, I think that the actions that we've taken in terms of open space and other issues, as far as growth is concerned, I don't foresee a lot of growth because a lot of land has been committed to permanent preservation. But as far as for plan's sake, we need to have input. If we're going to do this, we need to have serious input, not only from the board members, all the board members, but also from the public, okay, to weigh in on what they think is important. And I don't know what the process is there. You can't take a small group of people and put together a plan that works for everybody. So I think that we have to do this. If we're going to do this, we need to do it cautiously. And I'll also point out something else. The plan that was done in 2021, when we had proposed, previous boards had proposed changes, those changes were fought against. And there was one issue that I recall with the plan. We had this, what was it, that road survey system that we had. That was part of that strategic plan too, I believe.
I can't speak to that, but we did previously.
Remember I can't remember what it's called.
Robotics.
Yeah, that turned out to be a disaster. So we need to be flexible in the planning process. And I don't really want to call this a strategic plan myself because there's nothing strategic about 5 years. Plus the fact that you have to change your plan as you go. Things may come up, may happen that we have to allow change to occur within that plan.
Sure.
That's my
Right,
comment
and
on that.
I think one thing when we did have it, that we need to do a better job of, when we have a new one, is annually evaluating it and figuring out how are we doing against it, what needs to change for the next year. It shouldn't just be static.
Right.
Right.
And it should be needs focused. Okay?
Madam Chair, if I may
Yes.
ask. Just for clarification, Mr. Savella, do you agree with planning?
Yeah,
And that we need to plan?
we have to have some planning, yes.
Okay. And do you have, I know you said we shouldn't call it the strategic plan. Do you have other names that we should consider if we go forth with this?
I think we should have, we can call it a 5-year plan. If that's what it is, it's a 5-year plan. And then within that, we need to have discussions on where we need, as time goes on, if there needs to be change, that we discuss that change. And, but all I want to say is, whatever we do here as a township, it has to be needs-based. What do we need? There are a lot of things that people might want, but I think we should be very careful with that because everybody's got to pay for when we spend money, everybody's paying for it. And I think we need to be needs-focused, is all I'm going to say about it.
Okay,
That
thank
should
you.
be the priority.
All right, anybody have anything new or different? Anything else to add? Okay. All those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. And we've come to item number 14.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
can I
is there
just make
anything
a clarification question?
Sure.
Just, we have a new process with the meetings and the agenda, so I just want to, just so people are understanding, in terms of Robert's Rules of Order, when we have a motion on the table in a second, those that make the motion and those that second the motion may choose to vote against the motion, they may choose to vote with the motion. So I just want to make sure people are aware of Robert's rules. Just because you're making a motion or seconding a motion doesn't mean you agree with it or that you're going to vote yes. It just means that you're agreeing to put the motion on the table for discussion.
To hear it.
That's what the motion means, and that's what the second motion means, or that's what the second means for the motion, is that, yes, I'm willing to discuss it, then I'll make my decision, then I'll vote. They're separate. So I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I
Yes.
move that we adjourn the meeting.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.